I don't know about you, but dessert is my kryptonite. My solution, portion control. Hey, I'm Anne from Simply Two Moms, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my recipe for keto dessert pizzas, individually sized. You can find the full recipe at the bottom in the comments, or if you want the printable version, just head to the blog. The link is down below as well. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to make the crust. We're going to start off with some super fine almond flour. Next, I'm using Swerve Confectioners. You can use any low-carb sweetener that you want. If you don't have a conversion and you're curious how much to use, I've got a link down in the bottom that gives you perfect conversions with no math required. Next, we're going to add some melted butter, a little bit of vanilla. I add just a pinch of salt and then a sprinkle of cinnamon. Cinnamon's optional. I just like the extra flavor that it adds. A traditional fruit pizza doesn't have any cinnamon in the crust. It's more of a pure sugar cookie flavor, but I'm a sucker for cinnamon, especially when it comes to fruit. We're just going to mix it up into a crust. It's not going to be like a graham cracker crust where it's a little bit more crumbly. This is going to be a soft dough. Once you've got that soft dough, we're going to portion it between two tart pans. I'm just going to put an equal amount, approximately, in each pan. These cute little tart pans are one of my favorites. I got them at World Market. I'll include a link below. And now we're just going to gently press the dough into the bottom of the pan, smooth it out to the edges. It doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be covered up with frosting and fruit, but you also don't want to have any holes in there. So just press it around like so. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. There's nothing like vanilla and cinnamon combined together. I'm going to place them on my cookie sheet and then pop them in the oven at 350. We're going to bake them until they get nice and golden brown. So while the cookies are baking, I went ahead and assembled the ingredients to make this sweet cream topping that's going to go over top of the dessert pizza, and then I've washed the berries. It's really important that you let your berries dry. I've gone ahead and got them resting on paper towels. I washed the raspberries separately from the blueberries and the blackberries because raspberries are so delicate. Let's go ahead and mix up the frosting. We're going to start off with some cream cheese. I'm going to use some more of the Confectioners Swerve. Again, you don't need to use Swerve, but I really do recommend using a powdered sweetener because otherwise you might get some grittiness. Add a little bit more vanilla and another pinch of salt. And then we're going to mix it with a hand mixer. You could use a stand mixer if you want, but I just think it's easier for this tiny little amount to use my hand mixer. You probably could have mixed it by hand if the cream cheese was as soft as the cream cheese that I just used. I have some half and half measured out here, but I don't feel like this frosting is going to need any additional liquid added to it. After you've mixed the frosting, you may want to test the sweetness. If you have a sweeter tooth, you might want a little bit more sweetener added to it. Set this aside, and we're going to let the sugar cookies cool. This is completely optional. If you are like me and you remember fruit pizzas when you were growing up in the 80s, they always came out with a beautiful shiny glaze made from orange marmalade. Now, if you're eating low carb, you're probably not eating orange marmalade. However, look what I discovered. Smucker's makes a sugar-free orange marmalade. 1 tablespoon has 5 net carbs. So we're going to use a tablespoon to make a glaze, divide it between the 2 pizzas, and that's going to give you 2.5 additional net carbs. If you are more carb conscious, then you can completely skip this option and it will still be delicious, I promise. It's so simple to make this glaze. We're going to start off with 1 tablespoon of the orange marmalade. And then we're going to slowly add warm water to it. I've got a tablespoon of water here. I'm just going to add a little bit of it at a time. We just want enough to thin it out so that you can brush the glaze over top of the fruit. You can see it's starting to thin out. You don't want to add too much or else it'll be watery and it's not going to work. Maybe add just another, maybe half a teaspoon of water here. There we go, and that looks just about perfect. So we'll be brushing this glaze over top of the fruit once we finish assembling the pizzas. All right, so here's a quick tip for you. If you're in a hurry to make these dessert pizzas, you can pop these into the fridge to let them cool off faster while you're waiting. So let's go ahead and get these assembled. We're gonna start off with the frosting, the cream cheese frosting. We're gonna just divide that as evenly as we can between our two containers. And then get that spread over the crust. Gosh, I tell you what, while I'm sitting here smelling this, I cannot wait to dive in. So I'm just gonna take my spreader, and if you want, you can spread it all the way to the edges, or you can just give it a little bit of a crust just like a pizza. There's no right or wrong here, it's just how you like it to look already. And now we're gonna go ahead and top it with the fruit. I'm gonna blot the fruit just a little bit more gently with some paper towels to make sure there's no extra moisture on the berries. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the bigger berries first and just place them on top. And this one had tinier blackberries, and then we're gonna fill in with the rest of the berries. I'm going to take the blueberries. I'm not going to worry so much about placing them. We're just going to sort of drop them in and let them fill in all the little cracks. This is a perfect dessert for 4th of July or Memorial Day. If you're going to a cookout, you could easily double or triple the recipe and make the cookies into the little metal pie plates so that you could still keep the individual servings. Or you can always just spread it out on a large plate, just like a traditional dessert pizza. I'm gonna cram every last blueberry in here. There we go. And there we are. We've got our delicious fruit pizzas. And then this is the step that's optional. It's the orange glaze. And I'm gonna just put the glaze on one so you can kind of see how that looks. I'm just gonna spoon some on. No, I think I'm gonna stick with the brush. And you just sort of brush the glaze over top. So you can compare the two. So there's one with the glaze and one without. Which one do you think you would prefer? I don't know. No matter how you do it, I promise you are going to love these. The full link with the printable recipe is below, or you can just follow the instructions in the caption below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Simply Two Moms, and that way you won't miss any of our videos with healthy recipes, easy DIYs, beautiful decorating, and fun, entertaining ideas.